And Bobby, what about the fact that it's on an oval track today? Does it lend itself well to maybe covering your point spread, or do you have to just run flat out?
Well, I think it's NASCAR country. This is a track very similar to what we saw at Daytona, and I really think that you're going to see the NASCAR guys at home because they're stock cars again. But I think most of all, they call this the International Race of Champions. It should be the International Race of Pride, because I promise you, every driver in this race wants to win this race or whatever particular race he's in. It's his pride that counts.
We'll check on each driver's pride and also on the starting field. Today's starting order has been determined by where you're running in the current point standings for the IROC series, so that means last place starts first on the field. Al Unser Sr., flanked by Scott Pruitt. Second row finds Mario Andretti and Derek Bell filling row 2. Third row, Darrell Waltrip and Dale Earnhardt, two NASCAR stalwarts. Row 4 is Al Unser Jr. and Michael Andretti. The fifth row will find Bill Elliott and Wally Dallenbach Jr. Dallenbach having such a great run at Daytona. Sixth and final row, your 1-2 combination in the point standings. Bobby Rahal running second in points, and Jeff Bodine starting shotgun on the field, your current point leader. Now, let's take a look at the purse for the IROC 11 series. Over $600,000 with $175,000 up for grabs in first, second $80,000, and third $50,000. And remember, the driver doesn't have to share it with anyone. He takes it all home. How many points are up for grabs today? Well, 21 for first, and you can see going back to 12th that we could have a wholesale shuffle in the point standings going into the final race at Watkins Glen. Should Bodine, Rahal, and company encounter problems early on, well, someone from the back of the pack could come out of Michigan running in the front in the point standings going to the final race at Watkins Glen 2 weeks from today. This is it. Round 3 of the International Race of Champions about to get underway. A crowd of over 25,000 on hand to cheer on these champions. On the break, one driver taking a look to the outside as they take the green flag. And it will be Al Unser Sr. leading, but there's a wholesale shuffle for positions as Pruitt loses the spot for second to Andretti. Going down low, and on the inside, there is a challenge for that second spot. That's Darrell Waltrip trying to move up. Waltrip takes over the spot and trying to ride through is Dale Earnhardt.
Jack Al came down for a real fast start. He had a little bit of an edge on him. He got on the gas a little earlier than they did, but here comes Darrell back.
Now, Darrell Waltrip looks to the inside. Waltrip accomplishes the pass and puts Al Unser Sr. back to second position. Waltrip, as we said at the outset, was looking for a victory. It's important, but here's Dale Earnhardt tightening it up and making a 3-car draft at the end of lap number 1. Bill Elliott down low on the inside. That is the challenge for fourth position. Elliott trying to negotiate his way around Scott Pruitt on the low side of the racetrack, moves Pruitt back a spot, and now contends with Mario Andretti trying to take a position there. Andretti and Elliott. Meanwhile, up front, battling back is Al Unser Jr., Al Unser Sr., rubbing fenders with Darrell Waltrip. Waltrip had accomplished the pass just a moment ago, one lap before, and now it's a 3-car battle going into turn number 3. Waltrip gets a little bit of an advantage, Sam, as he goes to 4.
Yeah, and Dale Earnhardt there in the green car on the right of the screen is in third place. These are steep banks, 18-degree banks, 12-degree banks at the start-finish line, which is where they're coming up right now. 12-degree banking there. Even the back straight, Jack, is banked about 5 degrees.
I think Bobby Unser was very right when he said this is the International Race of Pride. Look who's moved to the third spot. Al Unser Jr. in the light blue car has now taken over third position, while Waltrip continues to lead. It's sandwiched between he and Unser Jr. is the lime-colored car, and here's the battle. The lime-colored car is Earnhardt, and here is the battle between Dallenbach, Elliott, and Scott Pruitt as they're continuing to shuffle. Now, it looks as if Elliott has taken aim. Yes, he has on Mario Andretti. Again, trying to shuffle the positions here in the early going of the International Race of Champions at Michigan International Speedway. And this is a little bit surprising so far, isn't it, Bobby?
Yes, it definitely is, Jack. We're seeing a lot more racing, a lot more passing for the first couple of laps here at the IROC race at Michigan. And I think if this is anything what it's going to look like, we're going to see a heck of a good race all day.
As we've watched from inside of Mario Andretti's car, looks as if he was a little surprised, too, as he glanced over to the side and saw more drivers challenging him for his position, which he holds down in fourth. Here is second, third, and fourth position. The lime green car of Earnhardt. On the inside comes the powder blue car of Al Unser Jr. Trying to follow him through is his dad, Unser Sr. Jr. has got second, but not for long. It's Earnhardt battling on the high side, but it's Unser Jr. still maintaining a fender length for second position as they go to turn 4.
Still less than 2 seconds, Jack, covering the distance from the leader to the last guy, and the light blue car of Al Unser Jr. there, now on the right of your screen. His performance is all the more remarkable for the fact that he got only 3 laps to practice. He's been sick all weekend. It rained last night when he was going to practice, so he has a very, very few laps here, and he's doing a remarkable job in a car which he's unfamiliar with.
Sam, there was a good lesson on drafting. Big Al and Little Al teamed up together. 2 cars run faster than a single car, and they both went right on up to second and third place, third and fourth place, I'm sorry.
Talk about emotion. Consider this, gentlemen. Darrell Waltrip, winless, as we have said, in NASCAR, now leading here in the International Race of Champions race, looks in his rearview mirror and sees Al Unser Jr. challenging him on the inside as they hurdle out of turn 4 to the start-finish stripe. And look who's right behind the son. The father, Al Unser Sr., is going to try and ride that draft around and accomplish a position. Waltrip holds it at the line, but he's on the high side and really running all by himself. Now Earnhardt comes up to try and help him in the draft.
Well, what happens there is, like we said, 2 cars always run better. They've left. Darrell Waltrip completely out in the clean air by himself. They're all running in the slipstream. If it keeps going like that, they'll just walk right on by him, Jack.
Bobby, your brother and your nephew are right together on the track, obviously, or have been at one point in this race, and maybe again. How advantageous would it be to team up in this situation and draft each other?
They won't team up as a father and son. It's just that everybody will team up with anybody if it will suit their better driving or their car going faster.
Well, in what we thought was going to be a sparring session has turned out to be a heavyweight contest. Unser Jr. leads. Waltrip is second. Unser Sr. is third here in the International Race of Champions.
Art, Michael got his right rear fender bent pretty good. Plus, all the tires are flat spotted. There was a very, very close call right there. But look at the back end of Dale Earnhardt's car.
And look at it from inside of car number 4. We'll take a good look at how Bill Elliott negotiated through this. Elliott was the cream-colored car that almost got in trouble. Whoa. Michael Andretti just came into the side of Bill Elliott, side-punched him twice. Elliott goes by as Earnhardt is parked in the lime green car, and he ends the day with 24 points. But you know, one thing about Earnhardt, his driving has been scrutinized all year, but it's interesting how he squares it all with his race fans.
You know, the fan, I'm conscious of the fans. I go up and sign autographs or try to accommodate them, do the best I can with them. If they don't accept me for the way I race and what I say and how I am, I'm not going to be try to be something different to please them, because then I won't be real.
The green is back out, and we're underway again at the International Race of Champions. Earnhardt is okay, but diving to the inside, trying to take a challenge for the lead as they come to the stripe is Darrell Waltrip. He gets by Al Unser Jr. and takes over the front position. In the meantime, Unser Sr. hangs tough in the red-colored car in third position at the bottom of your screen, but things have tightened up. The battle, though, is for Jeff Bodine, Wally Dallenbach, and Bobby Rahal. Remember, they're looking for the point sprint this afternoon, as well as the victory. They need to do well.
Jack, you mentioned the point spread, and what strategy can a driver at this stage in this race really bring to the situation? Well, obviously, there are no pit stops in which you can change the car and try to improve the situation. You see Darrell Waltrip there in the upper right of the screen, and on the left, you see him leading this race. A race, if he could win it, it would become his first victory of the year. Well, all right, if a driver can't bring any strategy to a pit stop, he can't change the car in any way, can he drive it harder or less hard in order to try to save it? Well, not really. The cars are incredibly reliable, as you see Wally Dallenbach on the left of the screen there in the white car. So you just really, what you look for is a good group to draft with, and you just keep on your toes and give it your best shot.
Well, while the contest up front is heated, this contest between Wally Dallenbach Jr. in the white car, who is currently in the fourth position, and Jeff Bodine in the rose-colored car, who is running in fifth, is continuing to be embroiled in the back of the pack, or midway through the pack. There, you're riding with Jeff Bodine as he surveys Wally Dallenbach and the rest of the field. And, Bobby, he's got to begin to feel the muscle and begin to express it here if he has any hopes of winning, let alone maintaining the lead in the championship.
Well, everything is still a little bit too early. Remember, the tires haven't really gotten hot yet. The track hasn't gotten slippery from a lot of rubber on it yet, so it's a little hard hard right now except to see what brute horsepower and just normal handling is going to do. The important part is going to be later. Michael Andretti back into the pit, but remember, he's already lost one lap, a lap penalty because he did, in fact, pit earlier. So that's going to be a non-significant thing right now. Here's the race. Little Al trying to put it on Darrell Waltrip. Looks like he's taking a pretty good shot on him right now.
Well, Waltrip still hanging tight on the outside, and yet Unser goes to the inside and gets a little bit of help from his dad, Bobby, because it seemed to give him the push that he needed to come across the stripe by an inch or so and take the lead.
If he gets up close like he is right now, they'll just both hook up together and go right by Darrell Waltrip. But his dad, Al Unser Sr., has to get on up a little bit closer to little Al, then they can both just walk right on by Darrell.
And Bobby, you're still saying there's no cooperation here between father and son.
Now, they wouldn't care, Sam, who it was. Anybody that you could get a hold of, believe me, father and son here, each one of them wants to win the race. They're not trying to help the other one.
Well, Unser Jr. has gained the advantage as they hurdle to turn 3, and I can bet that Darrell Waltrip is sitting saying, where is my son when I need him? Of course, Waltrip expecting a child very shortly, his first. But here right now, it's the Unser family going to the inside, trying to motor their way using the Michigan draft to gain the lead here in the International Race of Champions, but Waltrip will have nothing with it. He stays tough on the high side of the racetrack, and they continue to seesaw back and forth, but now he's lost it. It's the Unser family taking the point. In first is Junior, second is Senior, and Waltrip is dropped back to third. Lost the lead, dropped back to third. Now he looks in his rearview mirror and he finds Wally Dallenbach Jr. knocking at the door, trying to take third position and drop kick him back one more spot. Dallenbach, who was supposed to be a road racer and not at all good on the oval track, is flexing his muscle as Waltrip went down below the white line trying to get around Al Unser Sr. And look who's caught a ride as well and taken over third, young Wally Jr.
See, there was a good example, Jack, of two guys teaming up just like Big Al and Little Al did a little while ago. They teamed up together, Wally did, and Darrell, and went right by Big Al just like there was no effort to it.
You know, earlier this week, Sam, Wally told us that he was a little concerned because the oval track guys wouldn't draft with him, but that doesn't seem to be the case today. He seems to be doing very well in hitching rides with some of the top guns.
Yeah, they don't care who they hitch your rides with. Anyway, to get up in the lead. Remember, what we talked about earlier, pride is the most important thing. It's more important than the money is to these drivers. It's the pride representing the divisions that they come from, the towns that they come from, things like that.
And Bobby, in the case of pride, we see Wally pulling out to the left there. Now making a bid on Waltrip for second. It's Wally Dallenbach moving into second. This race means an awful lot to these young men. He has been a Trans Am champion twice, Bobby, and now he is trying to make a go in the really big time.
But he pulled out and did a slipstream did a clean air type of pass, and he wasn't able to do it. He fell right back. That's the thing here. The drafting is so important. You either have to team up with one or more, or your car better really be a fast one.
But I'll tell you, guys, this is a college education for Wally Dallenbach Jr. He may have made a mistake on the last lap, but now he's taken advantage of the learning experience and gone to the inside of Darrell Waltrip for second position. Al Unser Jr. continues to lead, but look at the contest for second. Dallenbach left on the downside. It is Waltrip in the silver car on the high side and staring them down in fourth position and almost losing it is Dallenbach. He gives up the spot, gets down to the throttle. Now he'll have to gather it back in. That's got to be scary as Bodine goes by Dallenbach.
One small mistake. He was running so low, he got into that slide. You see, he lost the momentum, about 5 miles an hour worth. Look at what it's cost him. 4 positions, 5 positions.
He lost the train, he lost everything. One little blooper just like that, he lost everything.
He would like very much to have an IndyCar ride. He, in fact, has stopped racing in the Trans Am and IMSA GTO in order to concentrate on getting a car Indy ride, and he is going to have his first try at that in Elkhart Lake in a couple of weeks. So it's a very big moment in the career of young Wally Dallenbach.
Now, here's our two Trans Am guys, Scott Pruitt and Wally Dallenbach Jr., two guys that race together constantly, year in and year out. This should be a real good race.
But from second to seventh goes Wally Dallenbach Jr., and that's got to be somewhat of a disappointment, as now he looks at the car 22, the black car of Mario Andretti, takes and sneaks a peek to the inside. He's going to use the draft to his advantage as we look at it from inside Mario's car. You can see the air buffeting around, and Mario working the steering wheel, Sam, trying to regain control or keep control of the car.
Well, you see, he's riding right off the corner of Wally Dallenbach's car, and that's where there's a lot of turbulence. Think of each of these cars as having a bow wave of air around it. And if you're sitting a little bit off to one side of it and slightly behind, you are going to be buffeted. And that's why we saw it from Bodine's car earlier. We saw it then from Mario's car. They're having to steer and steer like mad to keep control of the car.
A field of 31 will have to deal with turbulence tomorrow as well when we present from the Michigan International Speedway the Michigan 500. Indy's Elite will compete, and you can see the event live except on the West Coast. Action begins at 2 Eastern, 1 Central and Pacific tomorrow on ABC Sports. Let's update you on the condition of our current runner-up in the point standings, Bobby Rahal. He's running behind Bill Elliott as Rahal is in 9th, Elliott is in 8th. They really haven't made much of a substantial move thus far in the race. Could it be, Bobby Unser, that Rahal is just concerned about finishing and maybe gathering in some points despite the pride?
Jack, that isn't Rahal. Rahal wants to win. Again, his pride is far more important than the money is. The guy makes a lot of money as it is, but right now his car may be just a little off. Maybe it doesn't just suit his handling technique a little bit, and that's always happens.
Well, he continues to try to the inside of Bill Elliott. He's gone downstairs now, and he's trying to ride that draft down the backstretch to gain an advantage and take over that position number 8. It looks as if, yes, he's accomplished it. But remember, what we've seen, gentlemen, so far is one miscalculation by one driver, and you can reshuffle the deck from 2nd all the way back to 10th.
Well, exactly. You see the camera from Bill Elliott looking over at Bobby Rahal. That's a gold-colored car, by the way, of Rahal's. It's funny, this year everything Rahal seems to have touched has turned to gold, including his IROC car.
How appropriate, and it's also one of 3 new colors that have been introduced into this race because we wrecked so many cars during the first 2 series rounds that they've built 3 new cars for here. Average speed, 158 miles per hour. Unser Jr. leads Waltrip, Al Unser Sr., Jeff Bodine, and Mario Andretti. Coming close to the 2/3 mark here in the International Race of Champions Michigan round, and it continues to be Al Unser Jr. leading Darrell Waltrip in the silver car, Unser Jr. in the powder blue car. Unser's father, Al Unser Sr. in the red car, runs 3rd, Jeff Bodine is 4th, Mario Andretti 5th, and Wally Dallenbach Jr. in the 6th position. And Sam, as we were saying before, it was kind of a neat story as to how Al Unser Jr. got some additional practice time this weekend.
Well, they weren't going to let him practice because he hadn't been there for the practice sessions. And so he went along with his little son, who they call Mini Al, Big Al, Little Al, and Mini Al. Mini Al's a couple of years old, and they went to Les Richter, who's president of IROC and in charge of things like this. And Mini Al looked up at big, tough Les Richter, who used to play football, and said, Mr. Richter, I'm really worried about my dad. He hasn't had any chance to practice for this race. I wish you'd let him have about 3 laps of practice. And Mr. Big Les Richter kind of melted on the scene and said, he's got it. So he did have his practice this morning, and it's paying off very much right now.
Little Al's been down with a case of the flu incident. His reason he didn't get any practice. He's been real sick a couple of days ago.
One driver that doesn't seem to have any problems right now is Jeff Bodine, who we're looking out the back end of his car is with that shot. He is now posted in the 4th position and could very well be on his way to just a strong run here and then a strong run for the championship, where we'll see it decided 2 weeks from today, and near his hometown, the IROC finale going to Watkins Glen, New York.
And Bodine from Chemung, New York. So as you say, they're very close by. Bodine won the opener at Daytona, was 5th at Mid-Ohio. He's a very cagey man, and he badly needs to win this race because, as you pointed out, Jack, in his regular NASCAR racing, he has yet to win this year.
And now you begin to see that things are tightening up. Al Unser Jr. is still being stared down by Darrell Waltrip. And for Waltrip, it's kind of interesting to see how he feels about IROC. What does he like? What does he dislike?
What I like and dislike. What I like is getting together with drivers that you've never driven against before. The new young breed of driver that's coming in, and the Andrettis and the Unsers and the Rahals, guys that I've met. Maybe I went to Indy and I met them, or maybe I met them in the 24-hour race in Daytona, or wherever I happen to meet them. And it's kind of fun to get them all together, because one thing I found about race drivers, I think athletes in general, maybe not just race drivers, but athletes in general, they all have a really neat sense of humor. And you can kid each other a little bit and have a good time with each other, and then go out on the racetrack and try to beat each other. And I really enjoy that kind of an atmosphere.
The action is heated up front again. Darrell Waltrip has taken over the lead from Al Unser Jr. Senior remaining steadfast in that third spot in the red car, the rose car. Bodine runs fourth. Fifth is Dallenbach Jr. They have really tightened things up, Bobby Unser.
Well, the whole field is coming tight now. It's getting towards the end of the race, or towards the latter part of the race. You're just seeing that instead of a 4-car race, it's going to be pretty soon a 10-car race, for example. What you're seeing right now is that the guys laid back. They cool their radiators down, because when you slipstream real tight, their engines start getting a little bit hot. For a while, they all kind of slacked off. Now they're all bunching up and trying to see which guy has what.
Some unusual lines we come across the start-finish stripe, weaving back and forth. Some of that trying to shake the draft. Then they peel off like fighter pilots as they go into turn one, with Waltrip at the point in the silver car. One of the new cars of IROC. Running in second is Unser Jr. And look at Bodine moving into third position. That's the rose-colored car, dropping Al Unser Sr. back to the fourth position, and Unser Sr. has his hands full with Wally Dallenbach Jr. Dallenbach goes to the inside, and look who's in the middle of the hunt as well, Scott Pruitt in the Evans Orange, number 8.
Bobby, you mentioned the heating up of the cars. Of course, when an engine starts to run hot, you see Dallenbach falling back a little bit in the white car. It loses a little horsepower, so that's the reason you need to get that radiator cooled down, and you also, of course, need to cool your tires for the last couple of laps, so you'll have the best conceivable grip, because even though it may look as if these cars are running flat out around this Michigan Oval, which is, by the way, 2 miles exactly long, they aren't. They have to back off right in there and then back off at the end of the main straight just a little bit.
We're taking a look at the field from Jeff Bodine's tail light camera. That's Al Unser Sr. directly behind him. Here's a good display of how the draft works. Sam, do you see how the car pulls up right almost to the bumper?
That's a perfect draft. However, he was unable to initiate it soon enough. In other words, he couldn't get it going soon enough on the straight to actually get by before they came to the end of the straight. But maybe next lap.
Well, this is where you begin to dig deep in your saddlebags, figure out what tricks you're going to come up with next. There's the draft. Are we going to have a pass? Al Unser Sr. just right up on the bumper.
Wow, look at that.
Well, that was an almost hit, wasn't it?
It was an almost hit.
He decided not to make the move, though. He obviously saw that he wasn't going to be able to go down inside, so he just held there.
Well, the drivers are getting a little frisky here as we come down to the close of the International Race of Champions here at Michigan International Speedway. There's Bodine in third, Unser is fourth, but up front it continues to be Darrell Waltrip, Al Unser Jr., Jeff Bodine, Al Unser Sr. is fourth. In Michigan, the battle is brilliant for fourth position. Wally Dallenbach Jr., making only his second oval track appearance in history, is maintaining a stranglehold on that fourth position, but he's had to battle off some really spirited challenges by Al Unser Sr. and Scott Pruitt.
I think what you find is that Wally Dallenbach Jr. and Scott Pruitt, both of them rookies for this type of racing, Jack, are just doing an excellent job today. They've both been way up and, of course, made a few mistakes and slid back a little bit, but they're in fast company for oval track racing right now.
In the meantime, the battle up front is beginning to heat up. In front is Darrell Waltrip in the silver car, Al Unser Jr. running second in the light blue car, but look who is close and just stalking them like a bird dog for some prey is Jeff Bodine. Bodine now, remember, is lengthening his lead in the Point Series Championship. He's got dollar signs in his eyes as well as that checkered flag. Definitely he's running for pride today, Bob.
Yes, Jack, there's only 10 laps left, and this is the time. Now, between now and 5 laps is when you're going to have to really see the guys trying the other guys, and this will give us an indication if any of these drivers have been saving a little bit all this race.
Sam, as you look inside of Jeff Bodine's car, it was interesting to note that he didn't saw at the wheel much. Isn't that indicative of a good handling race car?
Well, partly that, Jack, but partly because he was not running in turbulent air. You see him starting to move the wheel now that he is running in turbulent air a little bit. So it's really where you are on the track as much as anything else. And look at that, Jack.
And where you are if you're Al Unser Jr. is commanding or taking command of the lead, but not for long because Darrell Waltrip battles back on the outside. They are side by side as they escalate the speeds up to 160. Bodine tried the inside, saw better of it. Was he pinched off, Sam?
No, I think he just knew that if he went down that low, he would get in the same predicament Wally Dallenbach got in earlier, which is to be so low on the track that he'd slide up and lose momentum. There comes Dallenbach. Now, Jack, down on the inside, finally back amongst the leaders. He's worked his way back up from as far back as 7th. He is now 4th in that white car.
This is all the draft, isn't it, Bobby?
Yes, it is. And look at little Al. He's getting out of sequence there, and it almost cost him a punch. got to be careful that you never lose the grasp, whatever you have to do. And that means you have to think of what the other drivers are doing, what they're going to do, and don't get out of phase a little bit there.
While all this action is taking place up front, the guy that went into this race running in second in the point standings, Bobby Rahal, continues to run, but he's being posted in 9th position. For Bobby Rahal, though, IROC is interesting. He says there are a lot of big equalizers in this division.
The fact that each guy can't set up his own car becomes the greatest equalizer in my mind, because I'm sure that Dale Earnhardt would set his IROC car up differently than Bill Elliott, and certainly I'd get in it and I'd have, I mean, you sort of have to take somebody's word for it as to how it should be and then go out and spend a lot of time working on it. But there are advantages, there are disadvantages for everybody on any kind of circuit, and maybe in the end it sort of all washes out.
The battle is heating up again. Bodine goes to the outside as time is running out here in the International Race of Champions. He bangs fenders with Al Unser Jr. looking for that second spot. It's NASCAR on the outside, Card on the inside, while Waltrip sits in the catbird seat leading. Going into turn 1, it's still Unser Jr. maintaining a hold on second, but Bodine wants more of second, but he wants a lead as well, Sam.
Well, but he is going to have a tough time getting past Waltrip, because Waltrip, winless this year, wants this so badly. In fact, it's interesting that all three leaders right now are not in the middle of really great seasons and need this race. Could motivation be a part of success in this series? I think it could.
Well, if there's motivation right now, it's got to be in this side-by-side battle for second position. Bodine on the high side, Unser Jr. on the low side, and you know who's stalking, waiting Bobby Unser is Wally Dallenbach Jr. in third position in the white car.
He's been there all day long. He just, sometimes he gets a little bit out of sequence and goes back, but he's got a strong car, and the boy's really driving a good race. There he is. That's some of the best racing you ever seen. You can't even hardly call it, it changes so fast.
Now, with less than 5 laps to go, it's interesting that the field is tightened up once again. We're down to 4 laps to go as they hurdle out of turn 2 and go to turn 3. And now you can't hold anything back, can you, Bobby?
There's no more cooling engines. There's no more cooling tires. You just have to go for it. Whatever you've done early in the race is going to work now, or it isn't going to work now. So that's all it's going to be left.
1.4 seconds covers the gap from the leader to the 9th place man right now. That's how close it is.
If this racing doesn't make your pulse quicken, nothing will. Darrell Waltrip on the point, looking for his first victory of 1987. Al Unser Jr. battling a cold, but running in second position. Jeff Bodine battling points, trying to go to the IROC finale as the leader in his rookie appearance at IROC. Kind of interesting, too, Sam, that the first time that Jeff Bodine sat in an IROC car and tried one out was a year ago here at Michigan International Speedway when the NASCAR guys were here competing in a race. And now he's leading in his rookie appearance.
Yeah, he's really got a handle on this, and his current third position, even if he is unable to improve it, and he may very well improve it, will send him into the season closer at Watkins Glen in 2 weeks, fully in command of this series and able to drive very conservatively on a road course.
It looks as if when these drivers peel off and get themselves down with just 2 laps to go, trying to find an advantage, Bobby, that they all stop almost literally on the racetrack for just a split second and lose whatever momentum they've got going.
Well, they do. And you can watch little Al. He changes his groove a little bit. He's trying to find a weakness on Darrell Waltrip right now, some way to pass. And every time he changes, you can watch all the cars behind him just change. Looks like a snake going down the racetrack. Darrell's car is handling good. I think he took good care of his tires early on. He obviously has a strong running engine.
Okay, Unser, if you were running second instead of your nephew there, what would you do to Darrell Waltrip with less than 2 laps to go?
I would be doing exactly what little Al is, just feel it all around. He's just trying to, when he goes high like that, he's trying to pull Darrell's rear end a little bit loose and get it around. Now they're only coming with 1 lap to go. Let's see what's
the white flag is out. It looks to be a 2-car battle between Darrell Waltrip and Al Unser Jr., but they're closing again in turn 2, Sam.
And traditionally, Jack, in NASCAR, you do not want to be the leader going on to that last lap. And yet Darrell Waltrip, the NASCAR expert, has taken the chance that he will lead that last lap, leaving himself vulnerable possibly to a draft by Al Unser Jr.
There is the differential between first and fourth position. It looks as if it will go down slowly to a battle to the stripe between Al Unser Jr. and Darrell Waltrip. Unser Jr. goes to the high side in turn 4. Will he maintain the momentum to the stripe? Waltrip pedaling as fast as he can, goes downstairs, comes to the line. Who will win it? It will be Unser. Unser Jr. takes the checkered flag and the victory. Waltrip finishes in second position. What an unbelievable finish. He used the draft to his advantage, and then he just battled outside and took the victory. Cold or no cold, he's done it.
Jack, this is one of the best IROC races we've seen. And I don't mean just because my nephew won it, but little Al, when he was playing up on the outside of Darrell there, he was steaming the racetrack out. He was trying to find a place to pass, and by golly, that's what he did.
And what a time for the Hunt and Peck to pay off on the last lap. There he is, a smiling Al Unser Jr., taking the victory in round 3 here at Michigan International Speedway in the International Race of Champions number 11. Unser Jr. has made his way to victory lane, coming out of the race car to the tumultuous applause of the fans here. He waves to him. Let's go down to our colleague, Jerry Gappin, for an interview with the winner.
A big hug from his wife, Shelley. Al Unser Jr., this will help you get well a little bit faster, won't it?
Yeah, it will. You know, it's the car ran beautiful. You know, we had a little bit stronger motor than Darrell did, and it showed there coming down for the checkered.
What did you think at the finish? It was so close coming down. Did you think you could get the job done?
Well, I don't know. I kept trying him a couple laps earlier on it, and on the outside doing the run that I was going to do, and then I was just basically waiting for the white. And to be honest with you, I've never seen the white flag on an oval with these guys because I'm too busy trying to learn what they're doing to me. And so this time I really kept an eye out for that checkered flag, and it was great. We got it.
Early in the race, we talked about the possibility of you and your dad working together there. Were you indeed working together, or was he just another race driver?
No, I told him to come on one time. If it hadn't have been Dad, or whoever it had been, I told whoever it was to come on. It didn't have to be Dad, but since it was Dad, Dad came up and hit me, and I knew he would, and so that's all I needed to shoot me out front, and then we kept it out there for a while. So.
Indeed, that's all he needed for the victory here, Jack.
So Al Unser Jr. notches his 3rd career win in IROC, his 1st in this year's series. Finishing behind him is Darrell Waltrip, Jeff Bodine, Wally Dallenbach Jr., Scott Pruitt, and Al Unser Sr. Bell, Andretti, Rahal, Elliott, Michael Andretti, and Dale Earnhardt. An excellent mix between IndyCar, NASCAR, and road racing drivers. Testimony to this year's parity. 2 points between Unser Jr. and Jeff Bodine.
And Jeff Bodine, Jeff, you're leading the point series. Now, big smile on your face. You have to be happy coming from the rear. Was it tough?
Tough, I guess. It was a long ways to come. I didn't think I was going to make it at first. Everyone seemed to be running so good, and nobody gave you a break out there. It was good, hard racing. That's what it's all about. We're lucky again, fortunate again. Just feels great going to Watkins Glen in the lead.
Okay, Jeff Bodine, a smile on his face. Back to you, Jack.
It's down to the finale at upstate New York's Watkins Glen Road Course, and you'll see the decisive round 2 weeks from today at 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Central. Today's race has been brought to you by the Heartbeat of America, Today's Chevrolet, by Budweiser, Beach